Well, as you know, and I'm sure you've heard it, Alex, I heard it a lot today. Donald Trump was meeting today with Henry Kissinger. I read on Infowars.com the other day that he met privately with James A. Baker III. Now, I knew he was meeting with Jim Baker, but I didn't know that was a public matter. And there are some in the Trump revolution who are scratching their heads and saying, well, wait a minute. Is Trump being co-opted by the establishment? Is he being taken over by the very people who've destroyed this country? And I must tell you, I've known Trump for almost 40 years. His views on trade, his views on NATO, his views on Wall Street have not changed in 30 years. He is his old man, and he's playing the establishment. He's playing them. So in the wider population, Henry Kissinger is viewed as a sage. Alex, you and I probably view him more as a war criminal.
Absolutely.
But to the American people, he's some kind of an expert on foreign policy. Believe me, Donald Trump, I'm sure, is seeing Henry Kissinger as a courtesy. I'm sure it'll be a polite meeting, but no one is going to get Donald Trump to change his strongly held views on immigration, on trade, on war, on the war in Iraq, which he recognized early was a mistake. I had lunch today with a journalist from the New York Times. She affirms that she interviewed Trump before the beginning of the Iraq War, at the very beginning, and that he was unquestionably opposed to the war.
Sure, he wrote that in his book at the time. Well, I mean, let me expand on this. I said the same thing you're saying yesterday. I hadn't talked to you about your views on it yet, but I mean, it's the same because it's true. He has to at least talk to people. He has to at least be friendly on the surface, or they will try to kill him. I mean, these are gangsters. And he met with Haas, and then Haas badmouthed him a week later and then Trump got more nationalistic. And so that's the reason they're so scared of him. But absolutely, it ended up being in a Houston news that he was meeting with Baker, so we ran the story. You know, because we're going to cover whatever Trump does. But I said on air, I don't think Trump's betraying us. It's his actions. I hope he meets with these people. Just like he says he'd meet with foreign dictators to try to get them to change their mind. That's how he wants to try to influence them. I mean, we ought to be glad this is happening.
Well, and in fact, I don't think he wants to rush to war with the Chinese or the Russians. I think he would usher in an entire new era of negotiations, but hard-headed negotiations. Negotiations where the best interests of the United States...
Sure, a president that wouldn't sell us out, a president would make good deals.
But I want to reassure those people at the grassroots, because you have his naming a fellow from Goldman Sachs as his finance chairman. Remains to be seen whether that gentleman can raise the $1 billion that Donald Trump is going to need. You have him meeting with Baker, who is an expert on the institution. Somebody who was in that meeting told me that 80% of the discussion was Trump questioning Baker about how Ronald Reagan ran his administration, how he ran his presidency, what Reagan's day was like. So it sounds to me like Donald Trump benefited from that meeting. The Henry Kissinger thing I view as a touchstone. But anyone who thinks Kissinger could talk Trump out of his views doesn't understand.
Absolutely. He's meeting with Kissinger so he can say, look, I talked to the supposed foreign policy wonk that the media worships.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I don't think that there is much value.
Well, I mean, look, my audience gets it. They understand to beat Hillary, he's not going to have to compromise. He's not going to break eggs. He's going to follow the policies he said. That's why they're so scared of him. But he's going to have to raise money. He's going to have to get his hands dirty a little bit, because this is a dirty business, period. I mean, he says, I don't like the system of buying off politicians, but it's legal. It's what I have to do business. I want to change it. I don't like making my ties in Mexico or China. It's cost prohibitive. You can't do it here. He goes, okay, I got hats made in America. They're twice the price. Buy them. You know, I mean, I get it. I've been through it myself. I understand it. I tell people, we have shirts and hats made in America, and they're $30, and we have shirts and hats made in Mexico, and they're $15. So, you know, you make your choice, and people want the $15 ones. I mean, I get it.
Well, and let's go a step further. It's CYA money. So the Wall Street types, the K Street types, they are going to cover their derriere. I want a president who is smart enough not to turn that money down. It's like the question that I keep asking Trump, how much did you pay in taxes? And his answer is, as little as I possibly can. That's the guy I want watching.
Yeah, I hope his IRS stuff comes out and he's really not trying to pay the IRS. That's what kind of thing I want to see.
Well, I don't think he's broken any laws, but
I know, but I mean, none of it goes around the country, as Reagan's commission found with Congress. It all goes to the debt. It keeps the economy in the toilet. The elites are offshore and don't pay tax. So I mean, look, Warren Buffett tries to avoid tax but says raise them. Trump tries to avoid taxes and says cuts them. I love that.
Day before yesterday, I had a delegation from the Chinese government contact me. They wanted to have lunch. I went to lunch with a bunch of diplomats. It was very pleasant. They wanted to know one thing and one thing only. Is Donald Trump really going to cut the corporate tax rate of the United States below that of China? They are petrified, Alex, that he's going to do this because they know exactly what will happen. The giant U.S. corporations doing business in China will all return to the United States to expand here, to hire here, to create jobs here. And that is, of course, not in the best interests of the Chinese. I like the idea of a president who puts the interests of the United States first. I think that's what the voters find most refreshing about Donald Trump.